live guest on a podcast called J is for Justice.
I think there's just hope that she returns no matter what. Oh my God, that's Megan's house. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then...
Wait a second, you guys. We have breaking news. All of a sudden in the chat, there was breaking news that there was a raid going on in Houston, Texas. It may be connected to a high-profile case.
That's her best friend. She would not be there.
Hey everybody, welcome to J is for Justice. My name is Jay. I am your host. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a member, thank you for being a member of my community. And thank you to my moderators who are joining the chat tonight. Today, Chad Daybell's probable cause affidavit was released, and I wanted to go live and go over some highlights in that. As you can hear, my voice is a little under the weather. I have some allergies going on, but it shouldn't be too bad. And I'm just going to highlight like the important stuff in this affidavit, just to kind of give us an idea of what the police had to go off of, what the investigators and the FBI had to go off of in order to have enough probable cause to search Chad Daybell's property. Hey guys, I'm not sure if notifications went out. Did you guys get a notification? Hey Patch. I'm going to let a few more people join before we get started on Chad Daybell's arrest or probable cause affidavit. And this will be giving us some of the things that police went off of when they presented this to a judge. Like, we want to search this guy's property, and they have to prove they have enough probable cause to search someone's property. So it should be pretty interesting to see what's inside this document. And since there was no notifications that went out, YouTube's being a little glitchy and a little bitchy, let's just give it a couple minutes to let some people join here. I feel like YouTube is being like really, really difficult for me tonight. So if you guys want to share this out on your social media so we can get some people in here so that we can go over this document. I hate when notifications don't go out, honestly. I'm wondering if I should restart the stream or... Prepper 101. Hi, Prepper. So can you let me know in chat if you got a notification? Hi, Prepper. How have you been? Hi, Flame Princess. Hi, Easily Distracted. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are live. And that's fine. So let's start. People can join. We can do replays. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. And I'm just gonna go over this pretty briefly. Like I'm not gonna read it word for word. But this is the probable cause affidavit of Detective Ron Ball, and this is obviously the state of Idaho versus Chad Guy Daybell. Lieutenant Ron Ball of the Rexburg Police Department being first duly sworn under oath, dispose and state as follows, that the information contained herein is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. I am a detective with the Rexburg Police Department and have been employed in law enforcement for more than 27 years. I am currently the lieutenant over investigations for the Rexburg Police Department. I want to make sure this is, you guys can read this. There. I currently hold an advanced certificate and a management certificate from the Idaho Peace Officers Standards and Training Academy and have over 2,500 hours of training. I have attended multiple trainings and classes throughout my career, including graduating from the FBI National Academy in 2015. I have received multiple hours of specialized training in investigations. I have also conducted numerous investigations and interviews with suspects, victims, and witnesses involving narcotics, sex crimes, and fraud. I have also received numerous hours of training on traffic stops and detection of criminal behavior. This guy's just pretty much talking about his experience. We're going to skip forward to November 26, 2019. The Rexburg Police Department has been involved in the search for J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan. The minor children's mother, Lori Vallow, has been charged with 2 felony counts of desertion of a minor child, 1 misdemeanor count of resisting and obstructing, and 1 misdemeanor count of solicitation to commit a crime, and 1 misdemeanor count of contempt. The contempt is for failing to comply with an order in a child protection action in Madison County, Idaho, to produce JJ and Tylee to the Rexburg Police Department or the Department of Health and Welfare. She was required to produce them by January 30th, 2020. Tylee was 17 at the time she went missing, and JJ was 7. So if you think back, they gave her plenty of time. Since November 26th, the police department has been involved in the search for them. And they gave her until January 30th to produce them, and she didn't. Chad Daybell was present in Hawaii on February 20th, 2020, when Lori Vallow was arrested on the felony desertion charges. I was present at that arrest. Daybell was also present at the March 6th initial appearance in Madison County, Idaho. As such, I know that Chad Daybell was aware of felony charges directly related to the location, health, and well-being of the minor children named above. Since November 26, 2019, the Rexburg Police Department, along with the FBI, have been investigating the location and whereabouts of the 2 minor children. The last verifiable sighting of Tylee Ryan was on September the 8th, 2019 in Yellowstone National Park. The last verifiable sighting of JJ was September 22nd, 2019 in his mother's apartment in Rexburg, Idaho, by Lori's friend, Melanie Gibb. While the Rexburg Police and FBI have received many tips of alleged sightings since the beginning of the case, none of the tips have led to any verifiable or actionable information regarding the health, safety, or location of the minor children. Lori moved to Rexburg on or about September 1st, 2019, with Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow and her brother, Alex Cox. Lori resided with her children at 565 Pioneer Road, Unit 175 in Rexburg. Alex Cox resided in the same complex, initially living in the same unit as Lori and moving into his own unit at 565 Pioneer Road, Unit 107 in Rexburg. So Alex was in the same apartment complex and as Lori and the kids. Lori's close friend, Melanie Gibb, and we're familiar with Melanie Gibb. She did a podcast with Melanie Gibb, which is also on my channel here. And Melanie Gibb has cooperated with the Idaho and Arizona law enforcement regarding the investigation of the children. Melanie Gibb reported that from September 19th through September 23rd, she visited Lori at her residence in Rexburg, Idaho. Gibb said that when she arrived in Rexburg, Lori informed her that JJ had become a zombie. Gibb further reports that the term zombie refers to an individual whose mortal spirit has left their body and that their body is now the host of another spirit. The new spirit in a zombie is always considered a dark spirit. We remember Chad Daybell rating Lori's family members as dark or light spirits. While the dark spirit inhabits the host body, the person's true spirit goes into limbo and is stuck there until the host body is physically killed. As such, death of the physical body is seen as the mechanism by which the body's original spirit can be released from limbo. This belief was told to Gibb by Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow had learned it from Chad Daybell and immediately told Gibb. Gibb was present with Lori Vallow when Chad Daybell first taught Lori this information over the phone in early 2019 in reference to Charles Vallow. Melanie has further informed me that Lori called Tylee a zombie in the spring of 2019. Gibb was on the phone with Lori and heard Lori calls Tylee a zombie, to which Tylee responded, "Not me, Mom." This arose out of Lori requiring Tylee to babysit JJ, and Tylee did not want to. Lori Vallow also told Gibb that Tylee had turned into a zombie when she was 12 or 13, which was approximately the same time Tylee had become, quote unquote, difficult to deal with. Melanie Gibb further informed me that she was told by Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow that they held the religious belief that they were part of the Church of the Firstborn. And their mission in that church was to lead the 144,000 mentioned in the book of Revelation. They also stated their mission was to rid the world of zombies. On January 26, 2020, a search warrant was served on Chad and Lori Vallow in Kauai, where they were living and on their vehicle. The children were not found with Chad and Lori in Hawaii, and no evidence was found to suggest they were living with Chad and Lori. Through the investigation, we have discovered that JJ Vallow was registered at Kennedy Elementary School in Rexburg the first week of September in 2019. Kennedy School was informed that JJ had an individual education plan, an IEP, due to his autism. Kennedy Elementary was in the process of creating a new IEP for JJ. On September 23rd, 2019, JJ had an unexcused absence. On September 24th, Lori Vallow called Vicki Barton of the Madison School District and informed her that JJ was going to Louisiana with his grandparents and wouldn't be home until the end of October and maybe later. On October 29th, the Madison School District was informed that JJ would now be homeschooled. During searches of Lori's apartment in Rexburg and subsequent searches of her apartment in Kauai, no evidence of homeschooling was ever found. No other school district has ever requested JJ's records from the Madison School District. As mentioned, the last verifiable sighting of Tylee Ryan was in Yellowstone National Park on September the 8th, 2019. Photographs established she was there with her mother Lori and her brother JJ and her uncle Alex Cox. They drove there in Alex's silver Ford F-150. The trip was further established by tracking the GPS, cell tower connections, and Google information on Alex Cox's phone. The Cellular Analysis Survey Team, hereinafter CAST, is an FBI unit that provides analysis of cell phone records and presents the information to law enforcement. CAST analyzed Alex Cox's phone and provided the location information mentioned in paragraph 13. The cast analysis provides the location of Cox's phone. Due to my training and experience and common knowledge, I am aware that most individuals now keep their cell phones with them at all times, and the location of an individual's phone can be used to establish the location of the owner of the phone. CAST uses cellular devices, GPS data points, cell tower connections, Wi-Fi connections, and Google tracking information to establish the location of a cell phone. The GPS data points used by CAST are considered to be highly accurate. CAST has further informed law enforcement that Cox's phone exited the west entrance of Yellowstone National Park at 1840. His phone appeared to be at Buckaroo's Barbecue Grill in West Yellowstone, Montana, from 1845 to 1902. Cox then returns to Rexburg at approximately 2037. The phone is then at Lori's apartment, number 175, until 2135, at which time Cox appeared to go to the Maverick on Main Street in Rexburg until 2143. At 2143 until 2153. Cox then went back to Lori's apartment from 2244 to 2315. At 2344, Cox is located at his residence in apartment 107. On Monday, September 9th, from 12 a.m. to 12:44 a.m., Cox's phone was located at his apartment. However, at 2:42 a.m. to 3:37 a.m., Cox is again at Lori's apartment, where Lori lived with the kids. This is significant not only because he's there in the middle of the night, but because this is the only time in September he appears to go over to Lori's between midnight and 6 a.m. At 4:37, Alex went back to his own apartment until 8:59 a.m. At 9:21 a.m., he was located at a property with the address 202 North 1900 East Rexburg, which is the residence of Chad Daybell. It should be noted that while Chad Daybell's address is listed as Rexburg, it is actually in Fremont County, Idaho. The 9:21 a.m. reading is a GPS data point and places him behind the home of Daybell's property near the east end of the barn. Alex Cox's phone was still at the Daybell residence at 10:39. At 10:47, his phone shows a hit in the city of St. Anthony. At this time, we're unable to tell if he was actually inside the city limits of St. Anthony or if this was a cell tower ping on his phone while he was still at the Daybell residence. At 10:57 to 11:39 a.m., Cox is at the Daybell property. At 11:52 to 12:02, he was at Del Taco in Rexburg. He appears to spend the rest of his day in his apartment. Through the investigation, the Rexburg Police Department and FBI have seized, searched, and analyzed multiple cellular devices. On June 1st, 2020, I was informed by Special Agent Ricky Wright of the FBI that the FBI had been examining a phone believed to be owned by Tammy Daybell. Tammy was Chad's wife and died on October 19th, 2019. The FBI found a text conversation between Tammy and Chad Daybell on September 9th, which is the day after the last known sighting of Tylee Ryan in Yellowstone National Park. The text conversation reads as follows. Chad to Tammy at 11:53 a.m. Well, I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times. Chad to Tammy at 11:56. Gonna shower now and then go right for a while at BYU. Love you. Tammy to Chad at 2:47. Good for you. Chad to Tammy at 2:48. I'm back home now. I found the text suspicious because raccoons are normally nocturnal animals and are not regularly out during the day. It should be noted that from interviewing neighbors of Chad Daybell, we are aware that in mid-July of 19, Garth Daybell, Chad's son, told neighbors that he had shot a raccoon out of a tree on their property during the day. Those neighbors are named Matt and Regan Price. Garth told Matt Price about the raccoon in response to a question from Matt about hearing a gunshot. The Prices informed me that the fire pit in the back of the Daybell property was hardly ever used until the last few months. Regan informed me that there appeared to be frequent bonfires in the pit on the Daybell property over the last few months, and that the first one she noticed was soon after Tammy's death on October 19th, 2019. On June 2nd, 2020, Detective Bruce Mattingly of the Fremont County Sheriff's Office contacted Samantha Williams, who is the sister of Tammy Daybell. He asked her if she was aware of a pet cemetery on Chad and Tammy Daybell's property in Idaho. She informed him that she was aware of the pet cemetery and stated that both she and Tammy were pet people and that they both had pet cemeteries. When asked the location of the pet cemetery on the Daybell property, she stated that it was east of the Red Barn near the fire pit. On June 4th, 2020, I spoke with Samantha, and she informed me that she was aware of the location of the pet cemetery on the Daybell property because Tammy had shown it to her. Samantha was then shown an aerial photograph of the Daybell property, and she pointed to the same area near the fire pit where Alex Cox's phone pinged on September 9th, 2019. The above facts establish that Alex Cox appeared to be at the Daybell property on September 9th, 2019, until at least 11:39. Chad sent the text to Tammy about burning debris and shooting and burying the raccoon in the pet cemetery only 14 minutes later at 11:53. The pet cemetery referenced by Chad Daybell is located at the same location as most of the pings on Alex Cox's phone on September 9th, 2019. On June 3rd, 2020, I interviewed Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend David Warwick in Pleasant Grove, Utah. We discussed the depth of the weekend of September 22nd and 23rd due to the fact that Gibb and Warwick stayed at Lori's residence in Rexburg that weekend. Gibb informed me, consistent with information she had previously given to law enforcement, that she arrived in Rexburg on September 19th. Soon after she arrived, Lori informed Gibb that JJ had become a zombie. She pointed out behaviors such as sitting still and watching TV, claiming JJ said he loved Satan, and an increased vocabulary as evidence that JJ was now a zombie. Gibb observed JJ's behavior and felt it to be the same as she had always observed it. The last time Gibb and Warwick verifiably saw JJ was the night of September 22nd, 2019. Warwick informed us that it was late and that Gibb, Vallow, and Warwick were going to do a podcast. Warwick said that JJ was acting up, and so Alex Cox took JJ to his apartment in the complex. When Alex returned later that night, he was carrying JJ, who appeared to be asleep with his head on Alex's shoulder. Warwick specifically remembered this because he saw it as a tender moment. Warwick further informed us that when he woke up on the morning of September 23rd, he asked Lori where JJ was. This was between 8 and 9 a.m. Lori informed Warwick and Gibb that JJ had been acting like a zombie and had been crawling on the kitchen cabinetry and had gotten on top of the cabinetry in the space between the cabinetry and the ceiling. She informed Warwick and Gibb that when JJ had climbed on the cabinetry that he had knocked a picture of Jesus off the refrigerator. Vallow then informed Warwick and Gibb that Alex had come and taken JJ. The FBI CAS team has analyzed Alex Cox's movements in the morning of September 23rd by his cell phone GPS. At 9:55 a.m., Alex is again on Chad Daybell's property. He was there until 10:12. The pings on the phone locate Alex near the pond on Chad's property at the northern edge of the property. On June 3rd, 2020, I asked Special Agent Ricky Wright of the FBI to analyze the frequency of Alex Cox visits to Chad Daybell's property during the month of September 2019. His response was as follows. Per your request, I checked the visits by Alex Cox to Chad's house again. There were only 4 visits by Alex during the month of September. These were on 9/6, 9/9, 9/23, and 9/25. During the 2 visits on 9/6 and 9/25, all the pings were in and around the house. There were no pings anywhere in the backyard, near the fire pit or pond. As you can see, these were also short visits, 11 minutes and 17. The visit on 9/9 was the only one, approximately 2.5 hours. Hold on one second, guys. Let me try to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. On June 9th, 2020, the day we all waited for, a search warrant was executed at Chad Daybell's residence and property. With the assistance of a local FBI ERT team, we located at least multiple sites of interest. These sites were identified and corresponded to the cellular data of Alex Cox's phone. Additionally, one of the possible sites correlated to a location on the property that Chad had texted his wife about. The first site was on the north side of the pond, near the north edge of the property. Alex Cox had 2 pings in that area. A patch of ground was located that appeared to be disturbed. The weed growth on top of the disturbed ground was shorter than the surrounding weed growth. What appeared to be sod etching was also noticed. The disturbed area was approximately 4 by 2.5 feet. Members of the FBI ERT team removed the top layer of sod. Underneath the layer of sod were several large flat rocks. The rocks were removed and 2 pieces of flat paneling were found. The paneling was removed and investigators exposed a round object covered in black plastic. I don't know why this keeps getting small and big and small and big. Upon exposing the round object covered in a black plastic bag, a strong odor was noticed. An FBI ERT member used a small sharp instrument and made a small incision in the plastic, and a layer of white plastic was observed. An incision was made into the white layer of plastic, exposing what appeared to be human remains. The crown of a head covered in light brown hair. The remaining dirt around this object was methodically removed, exposing what appeared to be a body wrapped in black plastic. The plastic appeared to be tightly wrapped around the body and secured with gray duct tape. Cheryl Anderson, Associate Professor of Anthropology at Boise State University, was present on scene and advised the remains found near the pond appeared to be human. A second site was located behind a red unattached outbuilding, located roughly in the center of the property near the fire pit. Next to the fire pit is an area used as a pet cemetery. This also correlated to several GPS pings of Alex Cox's phone on September 9th. Ground in this area was probed with a steel pole, and several areas of disturbed ground were located. During a search of this ground, a buried cat and dog remains were found. A backhoe was used to dig further layers of dirt. While doing this, bricks were located approximately a foot below the ground. Once the bricks were discovered, the soil was examined and what appeared to be 2 bones were located. Based on the condition of the bones, Cheryl Anderson was not able to determine whether they were human. The dirt in this area was searched methodically and several other items of interest were found, including other bones, charred tissue, and charred bones. Cheryl Anderson indicated these additional bones, both charred and uncharred, and the tissue found were human remains. Investigators provided photos of some of the partial remains that were found at the pet cemetery to Sarah Getz, PhD, a forensic anthropologist. Dr. Getz was able to identify those remains as being non-adult human remains. Hold on, I need to take a little drink. While officers were conducting their search, Chad Daybell was observed by officers to be continuously watching where officers were searching. He was observed watching officers while sitting in his vehicle in his front driveway and while sitting in his vehicle across the street at his daughter's residence. Around the time the head mentioned in paragraphs 32 and 33 was discovered, Chad Daybell was observed leaving his daughter's residence in a gray SUV. I and other officers pursued him in police vehicles, conducted a traffic stop, and detained him due to the fact that human remains were discovered on his property. This is dated the 10th day of June, 2020, by Lieutenant Ron Ball. Then we have the probable cause hearing of Lori Noreen Vallow, aka Lori Noreen Daybell. We're not gonna read this all again because it's the same. The beginning is the same. We're gonna scroll through to anything new here. So number 7 is where we start with some new information. I was familiar with Lori Vallow because the RPD had previously been contacted by the Gilbert, Arizona and Chandler, Arizona police departments who requested to obtain search warrants for a vehicle in Lori's possession. Said vehicle was related to a possible attempted murder of Lori's niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux, in Arizona. I am aware that Detective Ray Hermosillo had also performed intermittent surveillance on Lori Vallow at the request of the Gilbert Police Department starting November 1st, 2019. Detective Hermosillo reports that he never once saw JV when he was performing surveillance during the month of November 2019. The vehicle mentioned in paragraph 6 is a 2018 gray Jeep Wrangler. Texas license plate LWD0997. Said vehicle is registered to Charles Vallow, who is the deceased husband of Lori Vallow. Lori Vallow and Charles were in the process of getting a divorce when Charles Vallow died. The Gilbert Police Department was interested in this vehicle because it had been identified in an attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux in Gilbert, Arizona on October 2nd, 2019. Brandon had previously been married to Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie Boudreaux, not to be mistaken with Melanie Gibb. Melanie Gibb is the podcaster working with Chad. Melanie is her niece. At the time of his attempted shooting of Brandon Boudreaux in Gilbert, Arizona, the Gilbert Police Department was interested in this vehicle because it had been identified in an attempted shooting of Brandon in Gilbert, Arizona on October 2nd. Brandon had previously been married to Lori Vallow's niece, Melanie. At the time of the attempted shooting, Brandon witnessed the Jeep, which he recognized as being the same vehicle that Tylee regularly drove. Brandon observed a rifle with a silencer come out the rear window of the Jeep, and then Brandon's vehicle was shot once in the front driver's door frame. As Brandon drove away, the Jeep followed, but eventually turned a different direction. This same Jeep observed by Brandon was seized pursuant to a search warrant in November in Rexburg, Idaho. It is significant that the vehicle that Tylee reportedly drove was still in Rexburg nearly 2 months after the last known sighting of Tylee. I am aware through contact with the Gilbert and Chandler PD that Lori's husband Charles was shot on July 11th by Lori's brother Alex Cox. Lori is now married to Chad Daybell from Fremont County, Idaho. Chad Daybell's wife Tammy Daybell died on October 19th, 2019. I was informed that Chad and Lori got married approximately 2 weeks after the death of Tammy Daybell. I later confirmed they were married on November 5th, 2019 in the island of Kauai, Hawaii. Through our investigation, our PD discovered photographs of their wedding on a beach in Hawaii. Neither JJ or Tylee are seen in any of these photographs. On November 26, 2019, Detective Hermosillo and Detective Hope from the RPD went to Lori's home located at 565 Pioneer Road to conduct a welfare check. They met with Lori's brother, Alex Cox, and Chad Daybell outside the residence. Chad acted as if he didn't know Lori very well, and he stated he didn't know her number. Alex told detectives that JV, which is JJ, was with his grandma, Kay Woodcock, in Louisiana, which was not likely to be true due to the fact that Kay was the individual who was the first to call in a missing child report to the Gilbert police. Alex said Lori may be in apartment 107. They went to apartment 107, but the apartment was completely empty and vacant. At this time, they called me and asked me to come to the premises to help search for JJ. Shortly after calling me, Detective Hermosillo called me again and indicated he saw Chad driving a black Chevy Equinox away from the residence. Detective Hermosillo stopped Chad and asked him if he had seen JJ. Chad responded that the last time he saw JJ was in an apartment. It was in apartment 107 in October. He also admitted he knew Lori Vallow's phone number and provided it to Detective Hermosillo. On that same day, myself and Detective Stubbs of the RPD, located and spoke with Lori Vallow in her apartment 175. Lori told us that JJ was in Gilbert, Arizona with a friend named Melanie Gibb. We obtained Melanie's phone number from Lori. We ended our contact with Lori and immediately attempted to call Melanie Gibb. We were unable to contact her. Because Detective Stubbs and I were unable to contact Melanie Gibb, we immediately contacted Lori again and requested that she call Melanie Gibb. At this time, Lori told us that Melanie and JJ were at the movie Frozen 2, so it was unlikely Melanie would answer the phone. We instructed Lori to call Melanie Gibb and have her call us so we could verify the location of JJ. By the evening of November 26, 2019, we still had not heard from Melanie Gibb. So RPD informed Detective Ryan Pillar of the Gilbert PD of the information we received regarding the children being with Melanie Gibb. I was informed later that evening, around 9:30 p.m., that the police went to the home of Melanie Gibb. Melanie was not home, but Detective Pillar contacted her by phone, and she stated that JJ was not staying with her at her Arizona house and had not been there for several months. On December 6th, RPD was contacted by Melanie Gibb and informed that both Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow called Melanie November 26th at separate times and asked her to tell the police that she had JJ, even though JJ was not with her. Melanie informed the RPD that she declined Chad and Lori's requests. This further established that the statement made to law enforcement by Lori Vallow on November 26 was false, and Lori Vallow knew it was false. The statement Lori made to RPD about JJ being with Melanie Gibb delayed the investigation into the whereabouts and safety of JJ by requiring us to take time to investigate a lead that was verified as false. On November 27th, RPD obtained search warrants to search Lori's apartment, Melanie Boudreau Pulowski's apartment, Alex Cox's apartment. All three apartments are part of the same complex. JJ was not located at any of the residents. It appeared to me that most of the clothing in Lori's apartment had been removed. Other furniture was still inside. RPD believed that she left Rexburg with Chad the night of November 26th. Melanie Boudreau later confirmed that Chad and Lori did leave the night of the 26th. During the search of Lori's apartment, we found evidence that JJ was prescribed risperidone in the form of a pill bottle label with JJ's name. I have learned through research that this is a tranquilizer prescribed to treat irritability caused by autism. That was filled in January of 2019. The bottle still contained 17 pills. We have verified through Idaho State Pharmacy Board that it has not been filled again in Idaho. Then there was a storage unit search at Self Storage Plus. Inside the storage unit, they found a blanket with pictures of JJ on it, a blanket with pictures of Tylee, a backpack with JJ's initials, toys that appeared appropriate for a young boy, winter clothing, and other children's clothing, bikes, a scooter, and a photo album. They were also made aware that the credit debit card Lori Vallow provided was declined on January 2nd. The owner of the Self Storage Plus had reported to law enforcement that as regular operating procedure, he reached out to Lori, but had not heard back from her. At this time, Lori has not attempted to provide another debit card to Self Storage Plus. Soon after we executed the search warrants to find JJ at the apartments in Rexburg, Gilbert Police asked if we had any record of a Tylee Ryan, 9/24/2002 date of birth, being in Rexburg. Tylee is Lori Vallow's biological daughter from her marriage to Joseph Ryan, who is deceased. Tylee has a brother named Colby. I am aware from Gilbert Police Department that Gilbert Police Department has been in contact with Colby. Colby reports the last time he talked to Tylee was in August via FaceTime. He informed Gilbert Police that when he tried to contact Tylee after August 30th, Lori would give excuses as to why Tylee could not talk to him. Through our investigation, RPD has been informed that Tylee moved to Rexburg with Lori on September 1st or 2nd. We have been informed that Lori told Melanie Gibb that Tylee was attending classes at BYU, Idaho. However, a records check at BYU states that Tylee was never enrolled. RPD verified Lori Vallow moved into the apartment on Pioneer Road around September 1st or 2nd. And this was corroborated by Lori Vallow's neighbors who lived in the same complex. They saw Tylee around the residence when she moved in. These same neighbors actually helped Lori Vallow move into her apartment. They saw Tylee briefly a couple times after she moved in, but have not seen her since the first couple weeks of September. Their son played with JJ multiple times. One of their children went to Lori's apartment sometime in late September to play with JJ, and the child was informed by Lori Vallow that JJ was not there and he had gone to stay with his grandma. Another neighbor of Lori who lived across the courtyard from Lori had a doorbell camera that recorded JJ playing outside September 17th. Throughout our investigation, we are able to determine through phone records that Tylee, accompanied by Lori, Alex, and JJ, on a day trip to Yellowstone National Park on September 8th. We have a photo of Tylee at a park entrance that was provided through the National Park Service. Also, through service of a search warrant, RPD has obtained a photo of Lori Vallow's iCloud account of Tylee in Yellowstone, and the timestamp is September 8th, 2019. That is the last photo of any record of Tylee being with Lori. We have found no witnesses who can verify they have seen Tylee since September 8th. RPD has verified that Chad, Daybell, and Lori flew to Los Angeles, California, and from there to Kauai on American Airlines December 1st. This information was obtained through a search warrant served on American Airlines. There was no evidence or information suggesting that they returned to the mainland since that time, and it appears they had been in Hawaii since December the 1st. I am aware that Chad and Lori are living at 4141 Queen Emma Drive, Unit 3 in Kauai, Hawaii. I am in contact with the Kauai police who are monitoring the condo. The children have not been sighted with Chad or Lori. On multiple occasions, Chad and Lori checked into the Kauai Beach Resort and no children checked in with them. That was provided by an employee of the resort. Detective Chad Cataluna of the Kauai Police Department performed surveillance on Chad Daybell and Lori Daybell. He informed us that he has seen Lori and Chad at least 3 times since he had been made aware that Chad and Lori were residing there. Detective Cataluna has informed us that not once has he seen JJ or Tylee. On the 20th of December, there was a press release announcing that JJ and Tylee were missing and asking for the public's help. Since December 20th, this case has received national attention. Lori has failed to provide law enforcement with any information with the location of Tylee and JJ. Lori Vallow used the website care.com to find a babysitter for JJ. Through service of a search warrant on care.com, we were able to identify the babysitter who Lori Vallow hired to watch JJ. We contacted the babysitter and she informed us she watched him on the 19th of September. She had met Lori and JJ the day before. The babysitter understood that her employment was to be ongoing. She also reports that on September 24th, she reached out to Lori and Lori told her JJ had gone to stay with his grandma and that the babysitter's services were no longer needed. On January 16th, a child protective action was filed by the state of Idaho in Madison County on behalf of JJ and Tylee. The court ordered Lori to produce them within 5 days. Lori was served that order on Saturday, January 25th. Lori did not produce the children within 5 days and has not produced the children to this date. Other than any current orders and a pending child protective action in Madison County, RPD has not found any court record or order establishing guardianship or parentage of Tylee with anyone other than Lori. Since Charles had died, Lori is the only known living parent of JJ and Tylee. Between January 24th and 29th, I was in Hawaii with Detective Hermosillo and reviewed the video of Lori being served with the order of the child protection case. JJ and Tylee were not seen in the video. While we were there, two agents, Rory Johnson and Douglas McLand, assisted us in performing surveillance on Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. On the morning of January 26th, they observed Chad and Lori on a beach. JJ and Tylee were not with them. During the afternoon of January 26th, I observed the Kauai Police Department serve search warrants on the persons of Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow and on a Ford Explorer they rented. They were served on them in a parking lot at the Kauai Beach Resort. JJ and Tylee were not with them. The following items were in their possession: a birth certificate for Tylee and JJ, Tylee's financial transaction card issued by BBVA, JJ's iPad, another iPad that was logged into JJ's Apple account, JJ's school registration receipts from Kennedy Elementary. Through our investigation, RPD learned that Tylee's BBVA financial transaction card, which was still with Lori, was still active and still had been used since the last sighting of Tylee. On January 26th, after search warrants were served on them and their vehicle, I personally observed the Kauai police perform the search. In the garage of the condominium, there were 2 beach lawn chairs, 2 yoga fitness mats, 2 beach towels. There were no items that appeared to belong to a minor child. There was nothing found in the condo that appeared to belong to Tylee or JJ. Further, there was nothing found in the condo that would indicate that a 7-year-old boy had even been there, such as clothing, toys, books, medication, etc. There was a second room other than the master bedroom in the condominium. The second room had no signs of being lived in or otherwise occupied. Back to the affidavit. Through this investigation, RPD discovered that JJ had a service dog. The dog was named Bailey. On July 22nd, Lori sent Dog Training Elite an email asking about finding another family for Bailey due to a change in life circumstances. Dog Training Elite picked up the dog on August 30th, 2019. Through this investigation, I interviewed Chad Daybell's parents, Jack and Sheila. They informed me that Chad and Lori told them in November that Lori Vallow was an empty nester. Wow. An empty nester Sorry about that. Hold on. Through the investigation, RPD has interviewed Jason and Samantha Gwilliam. Samantha Gwilliam is the sister of the deceased Tammy Daybell. Jason and Samantha informed RPD that Chad told them Lori had no juvenile children. On February 16th, RPD received a tip from a named individual in Maui that Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow were renting a car from the Hertz rental at the Maui airport. This informant provided a picture of Chad and Lori. JJ and Tylee were not with Chad and Lori in the picture. Throughout this investigation, RPD and FBI have reviewed Lori Vallow's bank and financial information. No information has been found that would suggest that Lori Vallow is providing money to care for anyone to care for JJ and Tylee. There is no evidence or verification of anyone providing housing, food, clothing, or education or medical care of JJ since September 24th and Tylee September 8th. And this just kind of summarizes everything. And it says that she intentionally and willfully abandoned JJ and Tylee due to the fact that Lori Vallow provided verifiably false information by saying that they were in Arizona, and the false information obstructed and delayed the investigation into the location of JJ. The fact that Lori solicited Melanie Gibb to lie, I believe probable cause exists that Lori Vallow did resist, delay, or obstruct a public officer in the discharge or attempt to discharge a duty of his office, specifically investigating the report of a missing child. The fact that Lori did solicit or request Melanie Gibb to provide false information would have further obstructed or delayed the investigation. So this, I believe, probable cause exists, that she refused to obey a lawful order by producing the children by January 30th. And then they talk about the reasons why Lori is a flight risk. Based on the info above, I request a warrant be issued for the arrest of Lori Noreen Vallow for 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of children, 1 misdemeanor of resisting and obstructing officers, 1 misdemeanor count of criminal solicitation, 1 misdemeanor count of criminal contempt. I respectfully request, based on the above, that bond in this matter be set at $5 million to secure Lori Vallow's appearance in court in Madison County, Idaho. Dated this 18th day of February, 2020 by Lieutenant Ron Ball. Hold on, I've got some messages coming through in chat. Let me take a look here. And I excuse my voice, you guys. I have allergies and they're kicking my butt, and I lost my voice. Read last page before signature of the affidavit. I thought I did. Let me go back. Do I need to read this entire page? Am I missing something here? Thank you, Doug Parker. Thanks, you guys, for sticking around with even with my my hoarse voice here. But Annie, what did I miss? Interesting to see though how they put together the search at Chad Daybell's house. Melanie Gibb helped out because Lori tried to include Melanie in her little scheme. Lori asked Melanie to lie for her, lie to the police. You know, these people are the epitome of evil. They really are. And just, you know, getting these details out there, it is crazy to put it all together. But about Chad getting into vehicle, his lawyer said he planned on turning himself in. Wow. So I'm assuming that one of the children were still intact and one wasn't. And the light brown hair, I would think, would be JJ, because Tylee was clearly a blonde. But before I completely lose my voice, I totally want to thank you guys for being here, putting up with my horrible sounding voice tonight, but I'll be back to normal soon. This happens to me kind of a lot. I have kind of like I have like a raspy voice, so I can lose it pretty easily. So thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for being here. Thank you, mods, for putting all the links up. If you do want to become a part of the J is for Justice community, the mods have put the link in chat to become a member. I also have a Patreon, and in that Patreon, if you guys join, we're going to be starting to do cold cases, old cases, cases you may not have heard about. And we're going to put out, I'm going to put out a couple videos every month. And the Patreon is one flat fee of $5 right now. If you want to join, it's $5 a month. And you will have some extra content that is not going to be available on YouTube. So that's just a little special thing that I want to do. And it's going to be neat. It's not just going to be me sitting here talking about a case. I'm going to involve other people. It's going to be creative. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a way for you to kind of get to know me better on a personal level, since I don't really put my personal... I don't get too personal on YouTube, but I want to get more personal in my Patreon with, you know, the people that are closest to me and support me the most. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And I guess that's all. And I do have some things about Melanie, and I do have another video that I wanted to put out. I ran out of time today, but I promise this weekend you'll see a couple things coming out. So justice for Tylee and JJ. Enjoy the rest of your Friday night and be safe.